Good morning. It's Monday morning. I never go live on Monday mornings, but I thought with the technical difficulties that we had yesterday with StreamYard resetting on me setting it, resetting it, and thinking that I was talking to you guys. So I was sitting here just going back into my conversation and you guys couldn't see me. So we ended the stream. I felt bad. So here we are. I was thinking, it's Monday. I'm home by myself, have my coffee. It's a holiday, a national holiday. And why not go live? Sherry Lynn is here listening while she's getting ready for work. Good morning, Sherry. We appreciate you. Brian Doyle's in the house. Good morning, good morning, good morning, sir. Oh, let me have my first drink of coffee. You're going to witness this, all right? All right, let me have two. Good morning, Sean. Good morning. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. A remembrance of all the service members and everybody that we have. Very important holiday. And it's definitely one to take time to reflect on all of that. So I am glad that I have the opportunity because of these service members who have, given their lives to us to be able to be here to do something like this, have the freedom to do this. I want to say thank you for everyone who is going to hang out with me today. I did want to cover a couple of topics. I wanted to cover the fact that, or wanted to cover the key to keto is consistency. Yeah. Because I think that gets lost. Consistency gets lost in the minutia of everything. Whether, or basically any lifestyle you're living is going to take consistency. Whether it's carnivore, keto, dirty keto, whatever, maintaining some level or high level of consistency is going to show you success, or you're going to have a better opportunity to find success with a high level of consistency. And the thought about this is, my son-in-law, we were having a conversation about this the other day, and we were, he was talking about allergies bothering him and the fact that, they're really bothering him. And I said, you know what to do. Just cut out sugars and grains and such. And, he retorted with, well, we don't have the money for that. And I understand that living a keto lifestyle can seem to be expensive, and the transition can be expensive. It can be. That doesn't have to be. So one of the things that I told him, just the one thing I said, you drink energy drinks every day. You drink a regular full sugar Monster once or twice a day. And then he also has like Gatorades and things like that. And my advice to him was just switch those to sugar-free. That doesn't cost anything extra. Just switching to sugar-free Monsters, Gatorades, whatever the case is, doesn't cost anything extra, but it's a step in the right direction. That's knocking off, depending on how much he has a day, a couple 100 grams of sugar right off the top. Right off the top. Sherry said that she's so far off of keto now, she's hurting. She'll be back to it tomorrow. And we're here for you. That's what this community is here for, to help each other stay on track, because it is easy to get off track. It happens to me. It happens to Cheyenne. It happens to Chandra. It happens to all of us. Now, how long we're off track is the thing. Chandra and I are typically not off track more than a day or so. It's just, but we've built that strategically built that into our lives to where it's almost impossible to be off track for more than a few days because I do the grocery shopping. I don't buy things typically that are off plan. If we do go off plan, it's typically going out to dinner or something along those lines. A birthday. I know in June she has a birthday. I have a birthday. Our daughter has a birthday. My cousin has a birthday. There's just a lot of birthdays in June. June birthdays galore. And I've already started to kind of deciding, do I want to do something for my birthday this year? I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to have some kind of I mean, I'm going to have something. We're going to get together, we're going to do something. I do know that I plan to fast starting the day after my birthday for 7 days, and I'm looking forward to that. Those strangely enough do feel good, and it does help with the consistency. And she says that's her problem, that she does get away from community, and community is truly beneficial. I know it can kind of seem like we're preaching to the choir a lot of the times, when we're talking about these things in forums and venues like this, where I'm saying, the key to keto is consistency, and everybody in the room is like, yeah, yeah, we know. But the importance that it needs to be the importance that it needs to be reiterated because it's easy to overlook. It's easy to know something and not follow through with it too. Charlie's in the house. Good morning, Charlie. How are you? Good. How are you? I can't talk today. How are you gooing today, sir? I hope you're not gooing. How are you doing today, sir? I guess I haven't had enough coffee today. And G.I. Joe taught us that knowing is half the battle. The more you know. Something about pork chop sandwiches. I don't know. But, and then and I had brought this up yesterday in Heath and Shelley's live. They did the MS live yesterday. And, you know, eating keto doesn't have to be expensive. It really doesn't. Now, one of the key factors in finding your consistency and being able to find that consistency is understanding yourself. Because if you go into this lifestyle thinking you have to do it just like somebody else does, you have to do exactly as they do, the likelihood that you're not going to find success is very high. Now, it's good to be in a community like this where you can see, okay, I'm seeing what Charlie's doing. I'm seeing what Sherry's doing. I'm seeing what Brian's doing, Sean's doing. I'm seeing what all of these wonderful people are doing. And they're all doing something slightly different. How can I incorporate this little piece that Sean's doing, this little piece that Charlie's doing, this little piece that Sherry's doing? How can we incorporate that into what I'm doing? Because let's face it, even if you have the money to eat grass fed, grass finished burger, steak, free range, locally sourced eggs, and, you know, all that, the bacon directly from a butcher shop, that's direct, that gets their pork directly from a farmer down the road, and you're spending $10 a pound on bacon and $25 a pound on steak, and you're doing all these things, doesn't mean you're going to find success, because not everybody likes grass fed. Not everybody is attuned to the grass fed, grass finished. Not everybody has access to that. Somebody who's eating hot dogs and, the prepackaged boiled eggs from Walmart may find success. They're maybe more likely to find success. You know, the thing about how I look at this is utilize the resources that you have. Resources include the community, me, someone like Charlie, Sherry, Sean, Brian, people who have been living this lifestyle for a significant amount of time. Even someone like Charlie, not to call you out, but someone who has lived the lifestyle, gone away from it gained all their weight back, and then had to start over from scratch. Do you not think that someone like Charlie has an invaluable amount of information that could help you along your way? They failed hard. They gained everything back. And I know that's what we all have, that fear that we're going to gain everything back. I have that fear. I have insecurities. We talked about this Friday night with Cindy. We talked about insecurity. She's going to be putting out a video about insecurities. I'm insecure. I get up here and talk to you guys multiple times a week, and I'm insecure. I'm insecure about how I look. I have in the back of my mind, when I get to Keto Palooza, am I going to be bigger, or am I going to look fatter than I did last year? Am I going to be able to sustain that consistency necessary to get to a place where I'm less self-conscious than I was last year? Even if I get to a goal weight and I'm 34-inch waist with medium t-shirts, am I still going to have insecurities? 1000%. I have insecurities. I've got content that I want to make, and I'm insecure sometimes because I think, why would people want to hear what I have to say? Imposter syndrome comes into play. Insecurities come into play. These are real things. These are real things. Forgot to turn my lights on again. But these are real things. Sherry says, oddly, I've also realized that when I start getting comments on weight loss info off plan, I guess I don't want people to mention it when most people want the feedback. Yeah. I mean, we don't want to be called out, you know? I mean, we just don't. And Sean says, I didn't realize how much community helps after the low carb cruise, after meeting Joe and Rachel, Heath and Shelly, we realized that we were missing on being able to share our experiences. 100%. Even if you don't have a channel, even if you are just commenting and posting things in Facebook groups or on Instagram or Twitter or wherever, whatever social media platforms you like to utilize, just posting here and there and sharing your experiences, sharing your successes and failures is invaluable to other people. We all succeed at things each day, and we all fail at things each day. Arden is here. Good morning, sir. I'm appreciative that you are here so very much. Brian says, I got a prime brisket at Sam's Thursday for $3.98 a pound. I made 4 pounds of burger from the flat. Have the point in the oven resting after smoking it all night, and smoked 5 pound pork belly yesterday as well. Oh, you're living the dream, Brian. So that's the one thing that I was talking about. Like, one of the things that I wanted to touch on as well is, something like, if you're looking to get started in this lifestyle, you can get pork loin on sale sometimes, like at Costco, for like $1.50 a pound. You can get chicken thighs, bone in, skin on, $1.50, $2 a pound. You can get so much food for relatively low money that realistically you should be able to eat, if necessary, for sub $5 a day. I mean, even in this economy, even in this high inflation, even with prices going crazy, if you do, if you have a diligent way of shopping, you can even get that probably lower. Pork loin, chicken thighs, burger when it's on sale for $2 a pound, if you can find it. Hot dogs. I mean, No, unfortunately, the cheaper the hot dog, the higher the carbs. So that's not always the best. I like Oscar Mayer, the $5 box, which is 2 pounds for $5 or 2.50 a pound for hot dogs, is not terrible. But you don't have to eat steak every day. But eggs, 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 even at $10 for 5 dozen, that's $2 a dozen. That's $1 a day if you eat 6 eggs, or $2 if you eat a dozen eggs a day. I'd almost guarantee you're probably not going to be hungry if you're eating a dozen eggs and a pound of meat, whether it's chicken, pork, beef, lamb, whatever. Or if you're like, if you're like um Sir Grant Gregory and living in Australia, you could be eating, you can eat a dingo. Maybe you eat a dingo's baby. I don't know. Or kangaroo. And that's enough food for the whole week for less than $10 a day. Yes. I'm not supposed to say that you go off plan. We all go off plan. That's just the way. I mean, whether it's, I don't know. We do. We just do. It's the consistency that we stay on plan that we should be focused on. And I know I've had pushback on this, because if you are somebody that is on plan 98% of the time, you are going to be 99.999% of the way, or 99.99999% above everybody else that's struggling in the United States. If you're 90% consistent across a year, you're leaps and bounds above everybody in the United States. And I know that we want to hear 100% consistency. We want to hear no cheats. We want to hear, only eat this and only eat that, and we're only going to do the best. But we have to be realistic. We have to understand that we are humans. And not everybody is going to be able to be 100% consistent. Not everybody's going to be 99% consistent. Some people are going to be genuinely struggling to reach 90% consistent, 80% consistent. Are they going to see the results that someone who's 99% consistent? Not necessarily, but that doesn't mean that they won't see significant improvements in health, weight loss, mental clarity, all the things that this lifestyle has afforded us above and beyond the weight loss. Because I know just about every single one of us are here because of weight loss, but we stay because of the added benefits that we didn't even know would be attributed to this lifestyle. Now, more and more, these things are coming to light. There's more papers, more studies, more anecdotal evidence, more videos, more content, more articles coming out. There's documentaries. There's more things coming to light that are opening our eyes, opening the main public's eyes to this kind of thing. Is it still going to take 20, 30, 40, 50 years for the mainstream public to kind of get on board with what we're doing? Probably. Hopefully not, but we have to be realistic and understand we didn't get where we are overnight. Where we are right now as a society has taken 50 plus years of inadequate, downright almost criminal guidelines. It's just negligent guidelines, in my opinion. I am not a doctor, healthcare professional, and none of this should be considered healthcare, medical advice, or anything like that. These are my opinions. These are things that I've done for me, or things that I would do differently if I were to do it again. Danny is here. Good morning, Danny. Totally appreciate you. He's only 12 minutes late, everybody. Charlie says that brisket burger patties are amazing. I don't think I've ever had a brisket burger patty. I don't know if I I would love to be able to make burger patties out of brisket, but I just haven't got there. Sean is here. Sean says, we should have had this talk before I went to Sam's on Saturday. My buddy Johnny is here. Good morning, baby doll. How are you doing? The stream is going wonderful. Fingers crossed that we don't have the issue we had yesterday where StreamYard knocked me out and I came back to find out that people couldn't see me. So that's kind of why I'm doing this today. Kind of a makeup because I felt bad. And I didn't get I was in the middle of talking about something yesterday, which we'll cover again. It was relatively important, I think. At least interesting to me. But Sean is absolutely correct. It's all what's sustainable for you. If hot dogs and prepackaged boiled eggs and bologna and lunch meat and keto bread is sustainable to you, and that keeps you from doing whatever you were doing before that got you where you were before, and I stand beside you, I stand behind you, I support you 100%. Is it optimal? No. Is eating factory farm beef optimal? No. But is eating the highest quality prime steaks and burger and all these things feasible for everybody? Also, no. Just can't. It's not feasible, it's not affordable for most people. Brian says, I wish it all worked, but I'm afraid to go back even though I am not losing weight right now. My question here to you is, how do you feel otherwise? Now, I know that you've been having some issues with some of your biomarkers and such, and maybe if you care to share that, put it in the comments. Um, but how are you feeling otherwise? Obviously, you're saying you're afraid to go back, but how did you feel when you were doing that versus how do you feel now? And I think Charlie mentioned something is if your A1C is going up and you are strict carnivore, they are thinking that there is new ways to look and measure A1C or your blood glucose levels. Because if you're strict carnivore, then the idea is, or the theory is, that your red blood cells are living longer than 3 months, and that is what an A1C is. It's a 3-month capture of your blood glucose levels based on testing your red blood cells. And so they are looking at other ways to test that to be more accurate, because if your red blood cells are living longer, then it's giving you a bigger snapshot. That's high level. That's my basic understanding of that. I don't know how far we are into that knowledge, how much of a theory versus realistic it is, but it's definitely something to look at. And it's obviously something that your doctor probably isn't even thinking about, it, not even on their radar. Charlie said that Joe and Rachel were just talking the other day how keto is not for weight loss. And I agree from personal experience, weight loss is not a sustainable goal. No, because you're going to get to a point where weight loss stops because your body's only going to lose so much weight. And then you get down to the point where you get frustrated over 0.1 pound. You gained 0.1 pound today and you lost zero point 0.4 yesterday. And now you've gained zero point 0.1 back. And now you've got to figure out what you got to do to eliminate the stall. I think we get into our own head. We think about things too quickly. We didn't get to where we are overnight. We didn't get to where we are most of the time within a few years. It's going to take long. It's going to take a few years to get back to where you should be, if ever. But how do you feel? What is your quality of life? When you wake up in the morning, how do you feel? When you go to bed at night, how do you feel? How do you sleep? These are all so important questions. But most of the time, the only thing we focus on is the number on that little thing in our bathroom we step on when we're not wearing any clothes. And then we live and die by that number. You hurt like hell all over, and you feel like you got hit by a truck every night. What are you doing? What do you do for a living, Brian? Tina Blair is here. Good morning. Former truck driver. When I was over the road, I lost weight eating truck stop hot dogs, salads, bunless burgers. I had to let go of clean keto out there. It just wasn't realistic for my lifestyle. Yeah. And I mean, I know that in trucks, you kind of have like a little mini fridge and you could probably keep some boiled eggs for a few days, some lunch meat, but you're not cooking steaks. I think there are some content creators out there who do showcase that you can do that, but it's not for everybody. It really isn't. I mean, let's face it. Living in a house or an apartment, most people aren't cooking every day. We just aren't. I mean, I cook every day. I have to. But a lot of people live on whatever they can get and whatever cooks in the microwave. So finding the best options that work for you for what you're willing and able to do to keep your consistency, do it and don't feel ashamed of it. Sean says, I'm so afraid of going back to being diabetic and possibly losing limbs. This scares the living hell out of me. Yes. That was one of the things. Okay, so when I was still living the old way, 400 plus pounds, there were these commercials by Cedric the Entertainer. He was the spokesperson. I don't know what the company was or what medication they were selling. It was a medication. But he was talking about diabetic nerve pain. And he was suffering from it and his feet would hurt. Were just shooting pains in his feet. And I'm like, I do not want to just sit down and have pain just from being a diabetic. I don't want that. So that was something that was always in the back of my mind. But that didn't stop me from eating the way that I was eating. Buying bigger clothes all the time didn't stop me from doing or eating what I was eating. Getting to the point where I couldn't use our downstairs bathroom, or I had to be careful which bathroom I used at my job. Because if I wanted to be able to reach to do and clean things up and get myself in a state that I could go back to work or do whatever I needed to do, I had to be choosing in which stall I used. And if I went into the bathroom and the stall that I needed was taken, I had to go to a different floor. There could be 2 open stalls, and I'd have to still go to another floor because the one I needed was still not available to me. You know, that didn't even register to make a difference to me. The number on the scale is what did it, weirdly enough. Brian says he's told that he has fibromyalgia, but I do not blame it on diet. I would wonder, I don't know, there's got to be some information out there about fibromyalgia and what causes that, like the inflammation. Because I thought that was I thought that was something that keto and carnivore were shown to clear up. Excuse me. Hungry Heath is here. I can't remember. I don't know if I said hi to him. Said he felt great to last fall. Go back to doing what you were doing last fall. I know that sounds crazy, but what were you doing last fall? Go back to the keto basics of what you were doing before. Retrace your steps. Give it a shot. See how you feel. Okay, so he's in sales and does woodworking on the side. Excuse me. Scott is here. I want to say thank you to Scott for reaching out to me yesterday. He reached out to me after the stream and was just telling me that he truly enjoys when I go live and such, and that really means the world to me. I just want to let everybody know that. Truly means a lot to me. All of you being here, when you reach out to me, when you leave comments, all those things truly, truly mean the world to me. Charlie says losing limbs is not a great way to lose weight, but it is a way to lose weight. Sean says, I still have neuropathy in my feet, but it has gotten much better and I don't need medicine for them. That's just something that terrifies me like that. I just don't want pain for no reason. I mean, I know there's a reason behind it, but I just don't want to live with that. Heath says, my feet still hurt even after reversing type 2 diabetes over 5 years ago. Crazy. Has it gotten better though? I mean, have you had less instances? Is it less painful? I mean, give me something positive here, Heath. Brian says, foot neuropathy sucks. That's what tipped me off to type 2 diabetes 6 years ago, even though I am no longer type 2 diabetic. The neuropathy has not gone away. So is that just is that like a destruction of the nerves in the feet that causes that kind of like if you have a leg amputated, you'll have like if you have a foot amputated or something, you'll have like that phantom pain where it just hurts even though it's not there or itches and it's not there. Is that kind of what it is? Is it kind of like the foot or the body doesn't recognize that it's kind of there anymore, even though it's there? And have they done testing to see like how are the blood vessels? Are you getting an adequate blood flow? There's just so many questions that I have. My moment of change was on vacation in Florida, and I realized that I couldn't sit down on the beach because I literally couldn't get up when I sat down on the beach. Yeah, we were on the beach a couple years ago, and the condo we stayed had like a closet with like beach chairs and such. And I took a beach chair and I sat in the beach chair. And even after losing a bunch of weight, this was an old beach chair. So, I mean, I can't really I mean, it was still my fault. I'm still a big guy. No way. No matter how you cut it, I'm still a big guy. But I sit in this beach chair and I just kind of sit down and it just goes and just bends in half. I was like, well, my bad. So, yeah. I have not changed the diet at all since when it was working. Okay. Because I thought you started off more keto and less carnivore, and now you're doing more strict carnivore. Because that's the question that I have. That's the kind of one thing that I'm wondering. If you were finding all sorts of success with keto, and then you switch to carnivore slowly over time, and then when going full carnivore, that stopped working for you. I'm curious to know if backtracking some and adding more keto-fied elements like vegetables and such would be maybe beneficial. I don't know. These are just questions that I have. It feels like when I'm wearing shoes, but really it gets really irritated and I'm laying in bed. Feels better when I'm wearing shoes. Okay. Have you thought about wearing compression socks when you go to bed? I don't know. Would that help maybe? Because I know I wear compression socks if we're going to be in the car for a long time or getting on an airplane, and you're going to be sitting for a long time. I wear compression socks. And Shander wears compression socks to work every day. Something that really helped my neuropathy, really good inserts for my shoes, also massage my feet every morning before putting my socks on. Okay, so I have one of those like impact massagers, like to really get the deep tissue muscles in your back and such. Shanna got it for me for Christmas a couple of years ago, even though she can't seem to hold on to it, and I use it on her more than I ever use it on me, or it gets used on me. But I'll use it in my hands sometimes. It hurts to use it on your hands. It hurts to use it on your feet. But I do it. I'll use it on my feet from time to time. And sometimes it just makes your feet feel better. Heath, I think we're beyond that. You know? I think we're beyond that. Sexy is a state of mind. It's not the socks on your feet, Heath. You know? It's a state of mind. It's an attitude. You gotta you gotta just do it. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that I don't know what I think right now. My brain just went blank. But Becky is here. Good morning, Becky. Good morning. But yeah, kind of what I was kind of talking about is finding the consistency, finding what fits your budget, what fits your personality, what fits your lifestyle, what you like to eat. Now, what I like to eat has shifted so much over the last 8 years. I tell people, I eat exactly what I want. I don't not eat what I want. If I want French fries, I go get French fries. I don't deny myself things. Now, I may not pick up that pie at the grocery store if I look at it. Probably won't. There's a lot of things that I pass by in the grocery store. I'm like, oh, that might be good. But then I think back, you know what? It's probably not going to be as good as I remember. But what I think about now and what I would think about then, like I'm thinking about lunch now. I'm thinking about some burger patties. I made some eggs yesterday. Like you basically scramble them till just where they just hold together. Oh, I love them. I don't like overdone eggs. I can't do it. Yeah, coffee, 100%. We've got coffee. I wouldn't have done this without coffee. That's why it's Monday morning coffee. I might do these a few times a year, Monday mornings. Um, holiday days or whatever wherever it might work out. If I can't laugh about it, then why get too grumpy? Well, yeah, you got to laugh. Laughing is so important. I just use my hands for massaging. I start at my ankle and work my way to my toes. That sounds awesome too. I'm glad that I caught you a few minutes this morning. I'm off to do my morning DDPY workout, then going hiking as a family today. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Scott. And I hope you guys have a wonderful time together. Enjoy the day, enjoy the time. That's so valuable. We only get so much. So, thank you again for taking some of that time out of your day and spending it with me, spending it with us. Truly appreciated. I loved him like the first time he was on Joe Rogan. I thought that was an awesome interview with DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. Even ducks hate coffee. I would not share coffee with ducks because coffee is delicious. I definitely would not share them with geese. Heath is saying that. So, for those who don't know, DDPY is Diamond Dallas Page Yoga. He has it's a phone app, a program, a yoga process or program that he has. There is a monthly fee. I'm not sure quite what it is each month, but it does wonderful things for people. I haven't actually done it before, but I've seen results, and a lot of people that I know use it, and they rave about it. So this isn't sponsored or anything like that, but take a look, check out DDPY if you're interested. I mean, I don't have any links or any discount codes or anything like that, but coffee is life. Coffee is life. It's not your mama's yoga. My mom didn't even know what yoga was. How do you make your coffee? Becky does hers in a French press. I have a French press that I've never used. My coffee is a couple of scoops of instant espresso. I found this new this it's not a new brand. I can't even think of what it is, but it's a gold, like a blonde espresso type stuff. And then we use Nespresso pods on top of it. So like 4 Nespresso pods and a couple of teaspoons of the espresso powder in here. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm too stiff for yogurt in the morning. I never eat yogurt. Ugh. Rick says steak and duck eggs beat coffee any morning. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to agree to disagree. Now, I love steak and I love duck eggs, but I'm never hungry first thing in the morning. To me, like coffee to me is almost like it's an enjoyable part of my day. Where a lot of times, like eating food, you just kind of eat it, you get through it, you're hungry, you like the taste, but it's not always truly enjoyable. I mean, yeah, I enjoy when I eat. Eggs are good, meat is good, steak, burger, chicken, bacon. It's all delicious. But coffee is an experience for me. I've given it up for at least a year before. I've 6 months, a year at different times, and I always feel there's a hole in my soul that I'm missing coffee. Now I understand that people don't like coffee; they don't need coffee. Cool, more for me. Yes, yes, we know you meant yoga, Becky. It's funnier that yogurt was funnier though. Stacy is here. Good morning, beautiful. How are you? Everyone stay safe today. Bob says you can buy his program on DVDs. Depending on your age, he has different exercises. Yeah, that's a yeah. I didn't realize it. You might be able to find it on VHS too, Bob. But yes, there's multiple formats. You can find it basically any of your experience level with technology. I don't know if it comes on 45 or not, but you might take a look and see maybe a 78. Um, he says I don't drink coffee, but I make the Wardens every morning in the Chimex pour over. Bougie. Rick says that's interesting. So as soon as I wake up, I'm thinking about tasty meat and eggs. I cannot start my day without food. Yeah, I'm just not hungry. Sometimes I'll get to like 8 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock at night before I actually eat food. I'm just not hungry all the time, which is so weird to think about. That's one of those things, like when you really break down the fact that I can go hours and hours and hours and not really think about food. I mean, okay, I'm always sort of thinking about food. It's the nature of my brain, it's the nature of the channel, it's the nature of the content that I create. And I know it's in the freezer. And I'm also thinking about, well, what am I going to feed Chandra? She's going to want to eat when she gets home. I pack her lunches for when she goes to work. Typically, her lunches will consist of steak cut up into cubes. So they microwave easy. I will undercook the steaks. So when she does microwave them, it's not shoe leather. A couple pieces of cheese, an electrolyte packet, a beverage of some flavor that she likes, sometimes some boiled eggs, depending on what she's feeling like. And she'll let me know. But I just don't get hungry. Like I may eat today around noon. So this will probably be over. We're coming up on 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I may not eat till 11 or 12. I've got some content to create today, some videos to edit it, some stuff to submit, all these things I have to get done today. Um, but you know, I just eating isn't necessarily the most important part of my day, which is huge. And Danny says, I like that I don't need coffee. That's why I'm switching to decaf. Um, I'm too pragmatic for that. Like if I'm gonna drink it and enjoy it, I want the caffeine too. I don't and I've always struggled with heartburn. And I know that for me, decaf can lead to some heartburn because the chemical process to get the caffeine out of the coffee can cause heartburn in some people. So keep that in mind as well. So if you start finding yourself having heartburn or indigestion after having coffee, that's the reason. Sean says, I've survived most of my adult life hating coffee. My wife finally converted me to drinking bougie coffee. Went 6 years in the Navy and couldn't stand it. But this bougie coffee is awesome. Well, that's the thing is like, I would drink coffee when I was younger. We would go out and stay up all night and do things like hang out at Denny's. We weren't old enough to go to the bars. And there was a summer where my air conditioning in my apartment didn't work and they couldn't figure it out, even though I kept telling them what was wrong. It was the blower. Like you could put your hand up to the vent, the main vent, and you could feel the cold air, but it just wasn't blowing. And they replaced everything but the blower. And that was the last thing they changed, even though I told them that's what it was. Finally switched to blower, and my air conditioning started working in my apartment. But for that summer, it was miserable. So we would go and just sit at Denny's and drink iced tea, water, coffee, soda, whatever, all night because there was air conditioning and they didn't care. We got to be friends with the waitresses and we made friends with people who came in all the time. There were regulars every night. It was just a thing to do. It was a way to not be in our apartment and sweltering because, like, you could open all the windows and it wasn't going to make a difference. And I would drink coffee then and then, but coffee wasn't a staple of my life. Coffee really didn't become a staple of my life until about 2010 when I quit smoking cigarettes. And I still needed something to do. So, I mean, there was still like, oh, I got to do something on my breaks, do something. So I would go down in the morning with the supervisor and some other people, coworkers, and we would go get coffee. We had a coffee shop. I worked at a 3-building complex, and one of the buildings had a coffee shop in it. Had a coffee shop in it. So we would walk over there every morning, got a little bit of a walk in, go get the coffee. I would enjoy it. And the coffee transformed over time as well. So it would be just a whatever they would have in like the big pump thing, you pump the top or whatever, and it would come out. It wasn't like an espresso or an Americano or whatever. Then I would put like sugar in the raw in it, and then I would put cream in it. But then like sweet coffee just started to lose its luster, right? It's light coffee and cream. And then I would go back sometimes to get another cup, and they would be out of their pour over coffee or their drip coffee, and they'd make me an Americano because basically coffee, but quickly you can make it quicker. So that's what I did, and that's really become a staple. Then I started actually, oddly enough, spending more money on coffee each day than I did smoking cigarettes, which is hard to believe because the coffees were like almost between $2, between two and $3. I don't remember how much they were. There was like a coffee punch card every time you bought a coffee. Then like you get to the end of the week, or whatever, and you can get a free one. And I would get like some bougie like white chocolate mocha iced coffee or something full of sugar, but it was delicious. And then obviously that coffee shop didn't exist anymore. They went out of business. They didn't get enough business from just being. I mean, they weren't getting enough from the tenants in the buildings, and there wasn't any traffic coming to them. So, because I mean, there was no marketing, there was no sign. You just had to know it was there. Um, but we ended up getting a coffee pot, and we would make our coffee every morning. We'd take turns buying coffee. We'd make it every morning. So, you know, Sherry Lynn, people think I'm crazy getting up 2 hours before I have to leave for work, but nothing but morning coffee and enjoying that's the thing, is like that's what started me doing these Sunday morning coffee things is I would get up, get Shander out the door for work, and then I would sit down and drink my coffee and watch YouTube videos and just relax and enjoy the quiet house. And then I was like, well, why don't I start talking to people? Why don't I start going live? But in my head, I was like, no one's going to watch. But here we are, even though it's Monday. Chris Cookin, Nashville is in the house. Good morning, sir. Happy to see you back. I hope that your trip was glorious and you got some much needed relaxation. I know you got some big things coming up, and you'll be telling us about those soon enough, I am imagining. Um, I was looking at your wife's dates for her shows, and I think that there's something she's going to be doing up at Sweetwater. I mentioned this in the live yesterday, but if she's up at Sweetwater, that's like an hour and a half ish from me. I mean, that's north of me. Now, I don't know if you guys are coming to that together or when you're coming in town for that. I didn't know if you wanted to maybe meet for lunch for that, or I can come up there maybe and watch her play. We'll figure something out. I know that's in a couple of months, I think. I don't know. I looked at the dates, and now my brain is a little foggy on the date, but I know that that's something that is something. I had a friend who was a an account manager or account rep at Sweetwater. So Sweetwater is a cool place. I went up there and looked around. That's a cool place to hang out. Um, but yeah, he says I'm always thinking about food as well. The Hunger Heath thing is not trying to be clever. If I go without food, I get crazy or I get lazy, and if I get too low blood sugar, I feel dizzy. 3 meals a day keep me happy and energetic. I never really get hungry though. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like I don't get hungry. I mean, I get to where I just want to eat. Maybe that's like it's a complete different feeling because I used to always be hungry, always searching for something to put in my face. And now I'll still wander around the kitchen sometimes and open the fridge and look in there and I'm like getting angry at myself because I didn't buy anything that I can snack on. Now sometimes we do have things left over from videos or we've purchased things that don't make it to videos. You know, Chris says, I'm always thinking about food because Chris cooking Nashville, but I don't obsess over eating it anymore. Yeah. What exactly is heartburn like? Is it like when you feel like throwing? No. So heartburn is like, you have your esophagus here. Then you get your esophagus here, and it feels like burny, like actually feels like it's on like burning. Like there's a chemical burn going on in your chest, like behind your chest, your stomach, into your throat. And you can tell it's not your chest. You can tell that it's like in your esophagus and all that. You can just feel it. And it'll sometimes bother you like when you lay down at night. And sometimes it's just indigestion, like you ate and your food hasn't digested the way it should. Um, but I had it for so long and I had to take medication every day because it would be miserable. Like it would feel like it was just pain. It was like a burning pain, not like fire, but just I don't know. It is so hard to. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's just like battery acid in your throat, but all the way down. When I go too long without eating, it really does impact your MS. That's interesting as well. I did not know about the heartburn and decaf. I had some issues, but I think it's when I use zero sugar. That could be the same thing. It could be a thing that you're noticing as well. And Charlie says, I've never started on coffee or tea. Not sure I'd want to start. If you haven't, I wouldn't. That's my thing. Is if you haven't, you don't know what you I mean, you may really like coffee. You might be one of those people who gets up in the morning and does the fresh grinding of your beans. You're weighing them out, you're spritzing them down, and you're doing there's a lady that does like TikToks and shorts, and she obsesses over her coffee. And it looks awesome, but it's so much work for just a little amount of coffee where I can just put 4 pods in mine and put a little sprinkle of and mix it with hot water or whatever and just cream and go. Mm. Sunburn and much needed sleep. Oh, beautiful. Always so much necessary. There are some coffee brands that use Swiss water method to remove the caffeine. Pete's is one of them that I use, and when I buy a late night cup, you have no chemicals. That's good to know, so I can look out for brands that I can buy decaf espresso pods because sometimes it is late at night and I really just want coffee. And it is so late that if I had it, I would just lay in bed with my eyes open. So yeah, I'm not really. That'd be something that I would want. So, but I mean, just having like I have so the machine that we have does Nespresso pods and it does K cups as well. And I will buy most of the time I get them on clearance. Like at Walmart, I'll find decaf K cups and I'll buy a couple boxes or whatever because we don't use them very often. But a lot of times it's mainly just because I need a cup of coffee and it's late. And that's kind of like one of those, I just want to watch this movie and I want a cup of coffee, but I don't want all the caffeine. So she's doing a master class on songwriting and some performances. I'll be there. I'll be there. That'd be a lot of fun. I think that'd be kind of cool to come up there. I don't know about the master class part, but uh, but I would love to see her perform. Um, Last time I was up there was right in the middle of the pandemic type thing. A band that I really really like was on tour. They were doing their first tour since the pandemic. They were called the Black Dahlia Murder, and I got to see two dates on that tour because they're one of my favorite bands. And saw them in Chicago, which was the opening night of the tour, and I saw them towards the end of that tour in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and that was the last time that I would ever see that band with their singer. Because shortly thereafter, about a year later, give or take, he took his own life. Unfortunately, he was just troubled. And the fact that tours were being booked and then canceled because of the pandemic, and touring was everything to him, and the prospect of another tour being canceled, I guess, was just too much for him. So unfortunately, seeing him in Fort Wayne was the last time I ever saw that band, and they are still continuing on. Their rhythm guitar player is now taking over vocal duties, and they got one of their previous guitar players to come and join the band again. I haven't seen them in this current configuration. I don't necessarily know how I feel about it. I'm glad that the band themselves are going to be able to continue. I just don't know how I feel about it and how I'm going to enjoy it if it's going to be something that I'm into. They still have like 8 records that are all bangers. Like they don't have a bad song, which is difficult for a band to do. But I think they were one of my favorite bands. I saw them, I don't know, 15, 20 times. Small venues, you know. Sleeping in the sun, there's your problem. Stacy says, I enjoy drinking coffee, usually with butter and stevia whipped up. I don't drink it strong. One Keurig pod makes me a 30-ounce cup. I drink like 5 of them every day, like my coffee flavored water. If I drank 5 of these a day, I probably would have some kind of heart issues because this is strong. But even when it's middle of the week and we're up and I make breakfast for the young one and I make my coffee and I could just get a chance just to sit down and have that sip of coffee. It's like a micro vacation in every cup. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but it's true. Like having my coffee every day is like as close as I'm going to get each day to a vacation. And he says, right after high school, my first real job, I used to have to meet the crew at a local Whataburger. Whataburger is a place that I wouldn't mind having here in town. But Whataburger is not a place. I've only had Whataburger a handful of times, and I've never done bunless there. I've always just got a bun burger even on keto because usually on vacation, and I'm just like, just give me how it comes, and I'll just deal with it. So I don't know like how they handle bunless. I know the lady that rang me up one time in the middle of nowhere, Alabama, totally got my order wrong. Like I wanted a triple cheese with just bacon, onion, or I'm sorry, pickle or a mustard, pickle, and onion with cheese, but I wanted extra cheese, and somehow my burger had none of that on it, no cheese. I had to go to the manager and be like, "Look, I ordered like extra cheese and I have no cheese." So he gave me a plate with like 3 or 4 slices of cheese on. I had to build my own burger. So, yeah, I don't know how. I mean, I know that was like in the middle of nowhere, Alabama, on the way back from Gulf Shores, but I get it. But still, I like the idea of having like an In-N-Out burger or a Whataburger in town, because then I can have an option of somewhere to go sometimes if I feel like I want something. But I have no desire to eat fast food with what we have now. So I kind of would like to have it, but at the same time, I like the fact that I don't have to have it. I don't have any desire, and I'm not driving 1,000 miles to get In-N-Out burger. Now, I know that eventually there's going to be In-N-Out Burger in Nashville, Tennessee, but we're looking at a year, two, maybe still before that happens. So I don't even know if Chris knew that. But Chris, you will be getting an In-N-Out Burger sometime in the near future, and you're probably already seeing Whataburgers already. Because I know that there's some in southern Kentucky, like the Bowling Green area. I watched everyone else drink their coffee. It was required because I would ride with them to the job site. Oh, well, yeah. Let's see. Indeed, sleeping in a lounger in the shade on the deck of the ship and the Bahama breeze was amazing, though. You don't get better than that. And I hope that the two of you were able to really just kind of be one almost. I know that sounds cheesy, but I know that like with the stresses of life with Shander and I, sometimes just getting like that moment alone. And I know that we live by ourselves. We're investors for the most part, but even with just the stress of the day, we don't always get a chance to just be us. And we've been together long enough that we've had the opportunity to go on a couple of vacations just ourselves. We've gone to Disney by ourselves. We've gone to Gulf Shores by ourselves. We've gone like I went and picked her up in Atlanta one time from a nurses conference, and we went to South Carolina by ourselves. And we're by ourselves quite often. We go to the movies by ourselves. We go to dinner by ourselves. But even that's few and far between. Even before when we would just like leave the kids at home and go to the grocery store, that's like a little vacation. But just having that opportunity to just like know it's just the two of you, there's just something so impactful and powerful about that I don't think a lot of people truly understand or even think to take advantage of. Even if it's like just weekend trips. Like we've done like just like 3 or 4 days, just got in the car and drove to Alabama, stayed in a condo, off season, couldn't even get in the water, couldn't swim really, but we just got away from here. I think that's just so impactful, and I'm glad you guys got an opportunity to do that finally for your honeymoon. So I've never had the heartburn experience. I hope you never do because it sucks. Like one of the first times I remember getting it when I was a kid, I would eat tomato soup. One of the things we would eat a lot as a kid was tomato soup and crackers, which that stuff is delicious. Tomato soup with just um, saltine crackers crushed up in it. So good, so good. But they would just leave me heartburny when I was a kid. We're like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. And then I remember when I was 19, I had some friends over and we had some pizza and like the pizza burned as it went down. And I'm like, that's not right. So we went to the doctor and that's when they put me on a medication of Prevacid. When Prevacid was a prescription only, this is like 1999. And then I've been basically on some form of medication ever since. So from 1999 till about 2017, because we went keto in 2016, but it still took a while for me to wean myself off of the medication. Because for the longest time, for a few years, I had been on a Meprazole, which you can buy at like Walmart. It's like $15 for 3 weeks or $15 for whatever, 42 days or whatever it is, like a 5 week supply or whatever it is. 3 bottles, 6 weeks. I think it's a 6 week supply for $15. So it wasn't expensive, but it was the point where I would buy that and I'd keep a bottle in the car, keep a bottle at work, keep a bottle at home. Because even I would take that every morning. If I forgot to take it, it would be I would be so miserable, just miserable if I didn't have it. Like trying to drink water, trying to do anything I could do to cool my throat down, and just awful. I don't recommend it. So if you've never had it, I hope you never do. Excuse me. A strong pressure pain in my gut and chest, off meds since starting a ketogenic lifestyle. Yeah. I still get it every once in a while, and we keep some Tums in the house just in case. But I mean, it still kind of comes back every once in a while. Typically, if I eat too much, like if I eat too much or if I have some off-plan meals or something, it'll kind of like when I go to bed, it'll kind of rear its ugly head, and I'm like, yeah, I don't recommend it. I would give it a 0 on the Yelp score. I like my coffee like I like my stock investments, strong and rich, but I'll settle for quick and effective as necessary. Matreya, good morning, dear. I hope you are good. So let's see. Ash is from California. I am well aware she will be going. Let's see. She will be going as soon as it opens. They're actually moving their corporate offices here. I saw that. So that's one thing that I knew. So if they're moving their corporate offices to Tennessee, I imagine it's because there's no state income tax. So they're going to save millions of dollars a year that way. And they're probably getting some kind of financial incentive to move to Tennessee. Now, if they're moving their corporate headquarters there, I imagine, and they're going to be putting a restaurant there, that means they are going to be putting some sort of distribution center nearby because they truck in their meat fresh every day or whatever it is, or multiple times a week. Then, because I don't think Nashville's close enough to Texas for that to make sense. So I would imagine they're going to be building some sort of facility on top of the corporate headquarters. And if they do that, that opens up other facilities or other options in other states. So Nashville being 5 hours from Indiana, from where I'm at right now, like 5 hours to get to Nashville, that's within a day drive of that truck bringing fresh meat. So that's why I kind of figure eventually, probably within the next 10 years, Indy will probably have an In-N-Out burger, Kentucky, Ohio, Illinois, that type of thing. I wouldn't imagine that those things will start to happen within the next 10 years or so. These are all just guesses, just understanding their business model and that they do truck in the beef. And that's the reason why they're only in so many states. They have to be so close to a distribution center or one of the places where they do the meat processing and such. So I have used the power of deduction in my tiny little dinosaur brain to figure out that maybe one day Indiana will have In-N-Out burger. But I wonder, the race is on. Will Indiana have an In-N-Out burger or will Indiana have a Buc-ee's first? Let's put this let's do a poll real quick. All right. Here we go. The poll is, what will Indiana have first? An In-N-Out, a Buc-ee's, or a Whataburger? Cast your votes. Sherry is heading to work. Thank you so much, dear, for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day. We used to go to Whataburger around 3 a.m. after partying back in the day, back in the early college days. Bless those workers for putting up with us. Yes. You guys are, well, be safe and enjoy your bike ride. I know you're going to be excited. I know you need to get out on that bike. Sorry, the crux of watching them drink coffee was not much. Let's see. I was found it odd that they would meet up at a fast food place just to drink coffee before going to work. Sometimes it's just nice to start somewhere. It's like one of those things like in construction. I see a lot of construction people. They start off with contractors and construction, and people like always start off at gas stations. I don't know, maybe, I mean, and this is a generalization, kind of a stereotype, and I know we try to get away from those to a certain degree, but you see, like, typically they're buying cigarettes, energy drinks, large coffees, snacks, breakfast sandwiches, or chips, or whatever. So it just seems like that's the kind of thing that they would be purchasing there, and then they're always kind of starting off at a gas station in the first thing in the morning. Always found it funny. Oh, okay, yeah. Danny says, when I used to eat tomato soup, I would use one whole sleeve of crackers and one can of soup. Yeah, I mean, and now Progresso, Now I know I've talked about this before, but Progresso has a keto tomato soup that's actually really good. I really like it a lot. Um, it's relatively clean too, low carb and clean. I mean, for a national brand soup sold in the grocery store, it's relatively clean. And I always keep a couple cans in the pantry because that tomato soup is just delicious to me. Little cheese in there, some heavy cream, butter. Mm. Now I may put in some what do you call them? Wisps in there and stuff. I don't have any things like that. It's crazy. Instead of stop eating what's hurting you, just give you some drugs to counteract what's hurting you. Yeah, that's the thing is, but they didn't tell me what was bothering me. I didn't know what was actually causing the problem. It wasn't. It's the funny thing is if anybody works at any kind of corporate job where there's like a lean Six Sigma, or they're doing any kind of like one of the things that I found over the last couple of years prior to the pandemic was I worked for a company and they had that company's name. It was that company's way. So I worked for a company called the Hartford, and it was the Hartford way. And then I went to a company called One America, and they had the One America way. And Shander was working at a hospital, and that hospital had that hospital name's way. I'm not telling the name of her hospital because it's her job, and it would be up to her to tell you what hospital that was and not me. But I've seen more, and it's always about some initiative. And depending on the company, it really comes down to root cause problem solving. But it's so funny that we haven't got to the point now where we do root cause problem solving when it comes to health. We do symptom band-aid patches. We just throw a pharmaceutical band-aid on the symptom, or we look at obesity and we think obesity causes all these problems. Obesity doesn't cause the problems. Obesity is one of the symptoms of the problems. So, just getting to the root cause of what's going on with your health is so majorly important. And the fact that we overlook that is terrifying. And Chris says they'll definitely be expanding a lot here. They use fresh local stuff. They'll be finding local distributors and probably building their facility to handle it. It's wild, going to be crazy. And don't be going like the first week they open, otherwise you'll be waiting in line for like 7 hours. I'll be like, I'll just wait, because there was a restaurant that opened up here, kind of like in the middle of the pandemic, called California Grill, and it's basically, I'm guessing, supposed to be like an In-N-Out style burger place, and there were lines for hours, like 4 or 5 hour waits to get burgers from this place. I thought about going and doing it and sitting in the car editing videos while I waited, or listening to podcast. I just never made it around to it. I was like, I don't know if the content would, because it was a regional one location, that if the content would actually do well. So, I mean, that is a definite thought when making content. Not only am I showcasing something that I'm doing, but I want to make sure that the work that I put into it is going to help the maximum number of people. And when I'm doing something like showcasing a restaurant, if it's just one restaurant location, it's not going to necessarily help people, unless it's something like Rockstar Pizza, where they are a one location company, a one location restaurant with a focus of keto. I know that's not their only thing they do, but they do tailor just about everything on their menu to a keto option. So that's something that I think a lot of companies can grow and learn to do. Whether or not they will, we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. I had a really bad gallbladder attack. I felt like someone inflated a punching balloon in my chest. It was like 2 years from then to take my gallbladder because no stone showed up on the scans. That's the thing, is like, I wish I okay. So I had my brother's had his gallbladder out. I've had multiple friends have their gallbladders out. And I don't want to mansplain, but basically what a gallbladder is basically like a coin purse in your body to hold bile. Bile helps break down and digest fat. So my understanding and the hypothesis that I have come to is the fact that if you're eating a low fat, high sugar diet, or you're trying to eat low fat or even eating bad fats, then you're not utilizing all of the bile in your body and it kind of becomes crystallized. And I imagine the poor diet helps that along the way, where it crystallizes, causes stones, causes inflammation, causes pain. Therefore, they remove it. Therefore, you no longer have the reserve, the stores, or the ability to store the bile, but your body will still maintain and still create it. But you have to kind of work your way up to the body knowing what amount to make. So that's why if certain people will eat certain foods and they'll have catastrophic, digestive issues and such. So I kind of wonder if somebody was going having a gallbladder attack, decided they want to go keto, could they go in and maybe clean out the stones low and maybe give them an antibiotic, get the inflammation down, and then go keto? Would their body heal itself? That's a question I have, because it seems like that would be root cause problem solving instead of just cutting it out. But what do I know? I am not a doctor or a healthcare professional. Their training center will end up here too. Ash was a manager at one, and they send all their managers to training centers, so it will be a big undertaking. That's why it's going to take a couple of years, I think, for even you guys to get one. I think, right? So I know you guys are getting a Buc-ee's within like an hour drive of you, up in just north of Bowling Green. So yeah, I thought I was a hypochondriac. I had to sleep with my head in a chair because that was the only way to get comfortable. Oh, that sounds miserable. All right, Heath, you have a good day, sir. Have a good day. Don't work too hard, buddy. Great. Now I've got to get some tomato soup and make grilled cheese with my bread recipe. Yes, you do. Yes. Yes, you do. They have a cauliflower soup as well. I have a couple of cans of that in the pantry, but I haven't tried it yet. So it would be cool if they'd make a low carb or a keto chicken cream of chicken soup. What do you know about that, Chris? Can you make a carnivore cream of chicken soup? Do you think you could make that? Because that would go a long way into making some really cool stuff, I think. Maybe you already have it. I don't know. I haven't seen all your videos, I must admit. Like the amount of content that's it's exponentially growing every day. I'm just getting further and further behind. I put so many things into my watch later list, but I have no idea how I'm ever going to watch it all. Sure can. Made it. I made it and used to make. I used to make a green bean casserole for Thanksgiving last year. Yeah, carnivore stuffing. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. So keto chow does have a chicken soup flavor, and there's also a company. Um, Let me see if I can look this up real quick. There's a company called Proper Good. So Proper Good, we did a video on these a couple of years ago. The video was published April 26, 2022. So 2 years ago. They actually reached out to me and offered to send me um, a couple of soups, their keto line. And I was like, sure. They sent me a cream of chicken soup and they sent me a broccoli cheddar soup. So we tried the broccoli cheddar on camera. It turned out pretty good, a little bland, and now they've started showing up in WalMarts. So there are store bought options. So they're about $5 or $6 for the pouch. They come in like a plastic pouch. The tomato soup that Progresso sells is about $3.20 a can, depending on where you live. So I mean, I know, and then as we know that Keto Chow sells their packets for like 5.50 a bag. I know you can get it cheaper if you buy a large bag of their uh chicken soup. I have some, I just haven't tried it. I was planning to make some chicken noodle soup out of it and see how it works out. I just have to set up the camera and record it and then edit it and do all that stuff. You know how it goes. Cream of chicken soup is easy. I'm not Chris. You're not Chris? Well, I'll be damned. But I can help you. I appreciate you, Maitreya. Um, I'm using a version of it for my live stream tomorrow to make keto carnivore creamy nacho chicken soup. Oh, yes. I'm looking to start trying to make a like a keto carnivore version of the cheap nacho cheese dip, which is, making a cheese dip is easy enough, but getting that cheap, plasticky, like fakey jalapeno flavor, but probably make it taste better. I need to work on that. Probably just need to get some diced jalapenos and just pour the juice in there and all that stuff. And Scott's back. He said he got his DDPY done, and now I'm ear hustling while packing up for our hike. Hell yeah. I love it. I love it. Mm. So let's see. So I think I can help you with the cheap cheese. Want to do a video collab for it? I've got a bit of knowledge on that one. Yeah, because what's your thoughts on the sodium citrate? How does that play into the? I mean, that's not necessarily carnivore. Does that play into keto? Is that something you utilize on carnivore? We can talk about it. Um, I can message you on Facebook and give you my phone number or whatever, but we can get together on that. Um, yeah, that's gonna be fun. Let's see. I used to eat Frito Lay jalapeno and cheddar dip like it was good. That stuff is delicious though. Looking forward to the cheese sauce recipe. I miss it. So get it done, guys. Yeah, yeah. I mean, just even for something like the wild chips. I got a couple bags of the wild chips. They just brought them back to Costco. They have the queso flavor. So I mean, obviously it's queso. You don't really need a dip for them, but I mean, dips always make things better. And I imagine dipping them in some cheap tasting. I mean, obviously it'll be a not cheap tasting cheese because we'll be using real cheese and all that stuff. But give it that nostalgia, like roller rink, like sports stadium flavor. You can maybe dip some hot dogs in it, whatever. Pork rind nachos. We can make it happen. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I used to get that like the cheese dip alone was so not good but delicious at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I think back to some of the stuff I used to eat. Like I remember getting like ham and cheese loaf. Oh, how bad is that, right? Like ham and cheese loaf, and I'd put like potato chips on it. Come on, like for real. How terrible is that? But I mean, I guess you could look at that and it could fit into keto, right? I mean, it would be dirty, 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 but still work. Keto corn dogs. That was one of the things like that when I first started doing keto that I was trying to replicate. And I would just take like fathead style dough and just wrap the hot dogs and bake them in the oven. They turn out okay, but they're usually too dense. Um, I imagine that I don't know how it would work, but I imagine like I don't know because I know if you start incorporating like actual fat into the like the protein egg white bread stuff, it'll like deflate kind of easy. So you'd have to get it bulked up, and then you'd have to like take some kind of mold and bake a hot dog in the middle of it. But I don't even know then it would it taste right? I don't know. Those are the things like those kind of things. I used to eat a whole jar of cheese sauce and family size bag of tortilla chips in a single sitting. Don't miss that part. That's a thing that I need to make a video on satiety because I think when I think back to the foods that I like to eat, like that would really get my, really get my juices flowing, so to speak, that I would love to sit down and eat. There was a satiety. Like you don't think about like a whole bag of chips, like a big giant bag of chips. I mean, granted, it's only a few ounces, maybe like a 7-ounce bag of chips. You're eating a whole 7-ounce bag of chips. That's not even half a pound. And then if you're like me, you can eat like 2 pounds of meat in a sitting. It's a wonder the satiety isn't there. But you're not only eating that, then you're drinking a soda with it, and you're maybe having some dip with that, and then the satiety just isn't there. So I think chasing satiety is a modern day problem, and I think I need to make a video on that. Like just the idea of like how do we how do we find satiety? Because I would eat, you just don't stop eating chips. You eat a whole bag of chips, and I mean, if you were lucky, you would just get tired of eating them before you got full. You would get tired of the taste before you got full, or you get tired of you chewing before you got full. But you would never get that satiety. Oh, I feel good now. But I eat some eggs and burger and I just feel okay. My body's like, all right, we're good now. And sometimes there may be half a patty left. And I'm like, I don't want to waste it. My body's like, yeah, but we don't need that. The fact that my body tells me that, the fact that I can sit there and not finish off everything. I have a buddy who's a relatively skinny guy, and he's like, I never eat the last bite of anything. And that never made sense to me. Like, how can you not eat the last bite? I would fear the last bite because that means it was over. My experience was over. And now I'm at a point where I can sit down with food. I can have like yesterday, I had like 4 burger patties, 6 eggs, and some hot dogs. And that was my meal for the entire day. And I was fine for the rest of the day. I had some stuff to drink later the day, but I wasn't hungry. I kept myself busy, and I didn't feel hungry. I didn't feel unsatisfied. I think I threw away the last bite of hot dog. That's not normal for me. I mean, it's my new normal. But as long as I've lived, that's never been me. So I think there's a lot to say for this lifestyle, and I know that I'm preaching to the choir here. But hopefully somebody will come across this video and get to the hour and a half mark and go, what he said about satiety is really hits home. That's why I need to make a video on satiety alone. Just the idea of how satiety has impacted me. The hard thing with me is that I can just sit down and I can't just take a drink of water and go back to eating again like I wasn't full at all. The hard thing with me is that I can just take a drink of water and go back. Oh, yeah. I try not to drink while I'm eating. I try not to, and it's easier when I'm eating like like just basically protein foods. If I'm mixing in other things and I feel like I need to drink to get it down, but if I'm eating just meat, sometimes I'll have like mustard with my hot dogs or whatever. But to me, like just the idea that I think you digest your food better if you're not drinking as you're eating. I think then the liquid you're eating is like then diluting the stomach acid and all that stuff. But I mean, that could be anecdotal. I don't know for sure, but definitely something to look into. I still fight the mental part sometimes, even though I've been keto for almost 3 years. Sometimes I have to say out loud, "You're full, dummy. Leave the last half of the hamburger." I mean, that's the thing is like, I almost always make more food than I know that I'm going to need. I don't know if I'll ever make less food than I think that I need, but I know that I always cook like so. If I make So I think me making less is I used to make like 4 burgers, 8 to 10 eggs, and now I make 6. Then I figure if I'm still hungry after that, I can go cook up a few more eggs, if absolutely necessary, cook up a few more burger patties, and I'm good to go. But typically I don't. And then I kind of feel like if I did add those extra 2 or 4 eggs, then I might be just kind of pushing it, then I might be too full, then I might feel bad for the rest of the day because I'm too full. So yeah. I would feel gypped if I dropped a McDonald's fry on the ground and didn't go and get another order. So I was thinking about this the other day. I would go and get like one of those monster burger combos from Hardee's. And like that was like back of the supersize days when you could get like the big drink, like the 44-ounce drink or whatever, and you could get like the giant fry and then the big burger. And I remember thinking to myself, it's only a burger and fries. And then I don't have anything left to eat. I just got this drink. It wasn't enough food. And then I'm looking currently at McDonald's has made headlines recently because, and I might make a video on this as well. McDonald's has made headlines recently because they're coming out with a $5 meal, like meal combo. And fat me is looking at this meal combo like it's an okay deal. It's like four nuggets, which doesn't sound like a lot to me, a small fry, a small drink, and a like McDouble or whatever. And then Burger King has made headlines because they're going to do it too. And I was driving home from the show on Saturday night and I passed a Rally's, Checkers for some of you other people, but Rally's, what they're called here. And they had on their marquee $5 meal bundle or whatever. So they're jumping on the bandwagon. But I'm looking at this going, you know what? If I was the same person that I used to be when I was going to fast food restaurants, I would still be spending $20 because I would get 4 of those. And that would be an insane deal to me. I used to mistake being almost sick for being full and binged horribly. Now I know when I'm full and can stop without obsessing. It is an amazing change. It truly, truly is. And it's one that takes a while for you to notice. At least it took a while for me to notice. Because I would still try to stuff more food in. And then, like, over time, that kind of loosens its grip a little bit. So, you know, learning to change portion size when I cook is still a work in progress. I think that's why the way that I cook is so much easier for me because it's almost like the way that I cook is their own units of measurement. So I know that if I'm going to eat one major meal during the day, then four burger patties, and then I'll pour the grease over those. Now that's still not quite of a pound cooked, but it was an uncooked pound, and then 6 to 8 eggs. That's a ballpark, and it's harder to overcook because my skillet only holds 4 burger patties. Then my little skillet on the side, it holds about 6 to 8 eggs. So I really can't overcook unless I'm making multiple batches. And I'm not going to do that for me because, I mean, obviously, the keto simple here is trying to simplify everything for myself. How can I simplify it? 4 burgers, 6 to 8 eggs, and I can maybe throw some hot dogs in the air fryer and then dip those in mustard. I mean, realistically, I'm still coming in probably less than 3,000 calories for an entire day. So that's a win. And I'm not going back multiple times. So I think, and that helps with the portion sizes. Portion sizes, I think food manufacturers have really broken us on the inside about portion sizes. They truly have broken us to what a portion size is because they don't utilize actual amounts of food that we are going to eat. They don't factor that into their portion sizes. They factor in the numbers on the nutrition label for their portion sizes. So that's what they're looking. So they're not looking at what's the average person eat or what should the average person be eating here. You know, you look at some dip, 2 tablespoons. Have you ever measured out 2 tablespoons or measured out whatever, how many grams it is, 26 grams or 15 grams or whatever 2 tablespoons is? It's nowhere near what you think. But I look at the container and I'm like, okay, this container is 15 servings. So 15 servings at 2 carbs a serving, I'm looking at 30 grams of carbohydrates for the entire container. So if I sit down with a bag of unflavored pork rinds, which is 0 carbohydrates per serving, 0 carbohydrates for the bag, and I get through half of that container, 15 carbs that I've eaten in a snack. But that's the only way I can really compute it, because I'm not going to measure it out, because that's not how dip works. At least in my brain. Maybe I'm different. I don't know. It's really hard fixing lunch because you don't want to take too much, but if you don't take enough, you're hungry at work and stuck with all the crap. Yes. That's the thing. It's like, it's a delicate balance. I mean, I can make just two. I'm never going to eat just 2 patties unless I've already had 4 and I'm making 2 more. Same thing. I'm never going to make just 2 eggs unless I'm making a sandwich and just 2 eggs is all it really fits on the sandwich. But I'm probably going to then make 2 to 3 to 4 sandwiches. So I have these 4-inch silicone molds. I have two of them, and each one is 6 4-inch molds. So 12 holes, if you will, 12 molds or whatever, right? And 2 of them. I can make 4 breakfast sandwiches with that. So instead of making chaffles, I can mix up whatever my batter is, pour it into 6 or 8 of those, pour 8 different buns. That's 4 sandwiches, and then there's 4 places for eggs to go. And I can put cheese on top, and while that's in the oven, I could be cooking bacon, or I could be cooking sausage patties, or whatever the case is. So by the time that's done baking, then I have the sausage patties, build my breakfast sandwiches, and I've got 4 breakfast sandwiches that are probably coming in under, 4 total carbs each, give or take, depending on what I'm making them out of. And then will I eat all 4? Sometimes. Sometimes I put 1 back in the fridge. Sometimes I put 2 back in the fridge. But I'm going to make 4 because that's how many molds I have. So that's the kind of thing, is like, how do you find the happy balance of what you're cooking, right? And Chris says it right here. I used to buy $25 worth of Taco Bell in the late 2000s money, 2 extra large Mountain Dews with light ice, so I got more soda. I would do this all the time for the whole family. We were a family of 5. Shander and I and 3 teenagers. I would go and I would get the beefy crunch burritos that were $1. I would get like 5 or 6 of those just for me. A large Pepsi or Mountain Dew, whatever I felt like. I would get Shander like these avocado ranch burritos, but she didn't want the avocado ranch sauce on them, but she liked the chicken over the beef. Then I'd get the kids whatever they wanted. I was spending like $30 a night just for 5 people, which is a steal of a deal when you're going out late. I didn't have to cook. And I mean, in all fairness, at that time in my life, I was more busy than I am now. I feel more busy now, but I was super busy then because my time was being taken up differently. There was an hour and a half each day that was just travel time. I had a full-time job. I was there for 9 hours with an hour and a half. So 10 and a half hours. So half of my day gone, just travel and work. Then I was stopping by the nursing home to visit my mom every day, as close to every day as I could. And I was spending 15 minutes at the minimum, an hour at the maximum. But a lot of times it was about a half an hour because I just was on such a time crunch when I was seeing her every day, but I didn't get a chance to stay all that long every day. Then I'd have to run by Taco Bell or run by somewhere, and we were eating a lot of frozen pizzas, Taco Bell. We were eating a lot of, like, I would buy these bags of fajitas, like fajita stuff in a bag. So it was like frozen rice with chicken, peppers, and onions all frozen in a bag, and with like these little packets of like seasoning sauces or whatever. And I would cook those up, and I'd buy packages of tortillas, and we'd eat those at night. Anything that I could do, just because. And Shannon was doing stuff. She was like, whether she was in nursing school or just getting started in nursing, and she was working like at a healthcare facility doing inpatient healthcare while she was working on getting her job as a nurse and finishing her degree, and the space between getting her degree and when, like, She could take her nursing school test and all that stuff. There was just a lot of time that we were just so busy, and the kids being in school and sports, there was so much negative time. Like we didn't have time. So realistically, I don't even know how I would have made it work in keto. Just cooking steaks at night would have taken time. We would have made it work. Frozen burger patties, I'd have made it work. But at the time, it was cheap junk food. It was the quickest food you could throw into a skillet, stir up, get hot, put it on the table because we had to make sure homework is done. We had to make sure the dishes were done. We had to make sure kids were ready for bed and got in bed. And then, Shannon and I would still try to spend a little bit of time together before going to bed to do it all over again. And so, I mean, it just seems like we're still the same busy now, but not quite. But I have more time now to cook, even though I do try to keep what we cook as simplified as possible. So, real life keto, real life food, real life day to day is so important to that consistency, the sustainability, the success that you want to see in yourself has to start with making it as easy for you as you possibly can. So Chris hits it right on the head. I would do the same thing, but it was out of necessity and it was delicious. Get cheese sauce, dip it in there. Yes. You know what I mean? And like, I don't even know, like I went about 2 years ago, probably maybe a year ago, I went to order some Taco Bell for one of Chandra's friends. They had gone together. They'd gone out for the night and I was going to pick Chandra up from their house. And they were like, on your way, can you pick up Taco Bell for my friend? And I was like, okay. I forgot how to order Taco Bell. It stumped me. I was like, I don't even know what you have. And I can look at the menu, but it's not, when you're like, it's just, like when you have something memorized and like, I remember, so real talk, like hot take, like when I was up at Fort Wayne for that Black Dahlia murder show, the last time I saw them live, I did stop into Taco Bell and I was going to get myself some quesadillas because I knew they had them back in stock. And I used to love those. So I wanted to get a couple of those for the drive back. 2-hour drive. Should I have? No. But the problem with that was they were only available using their app. That was infuriating. Like I have to go out of line, bring up the app, order it, then go back in line and have you hand it to me. Okay. So I was like, give me 2 things, 3 things that are basically quesadillas that don't have beans in them because beans are gross or whatever I didn't want. Okay. Went off and I got on my way. I had my diet. I had my 0 sugar Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Delicious, by the way. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, just remembering how to order fast food is so difficult. I used to buy White Castles by the bag around 20 burgers and eat them all in one sitting. My buddy and I one night went and got a crave case. 30 of them. And we just sitting in the car, just eating like dum-dums. It was so good though. I still owe Charlie. Charlie did a super chat for me for $20. I still got to put that towards going to White Castle and ordering myself 30 doubles with cheese with no buns and see how they hand those to me. But yeah. So much of what you're sharing is exactly what we used to do with our bagged frozen meals. Cheap fast food. No, I was living the life, bro. Like I was living the life. That was a life we lived. That's just what I mean, making it work. How many nights did I come home and make 4 boxes of Kraft mac and cheese? You know what I mean? Hold on one second. Getting all worked up and my nose is running. But yeah, 4 boxes of Kraft mac and cheese. Or we'd make like 6 to 8 packets of ramen. Or everybody would fend for we'd have like leftover night. You just fend for yourself. How many of those like the Red Baron pizzas, like the 2 for 10 or the 3 for 10 pizzas did we make? Like I'd eat a pizza by myself, I'd make Chandra a pizza, and I'd make 2 pizzas for the kids. They'd split that. We'd make 4 pizzas in a night. I'd put extra cheese on them, garlic powder, crushed red pepper. We'd doctor them up. Go in the oven, took 2 at a time. We thought we were doing the best when we were literally doing the best that we could with the information that we had. We were eating garbage, trash food, but we were doing what we could because that's all the information that we had. Preaching, exactly what we did. I think that's, I mean, and that's one of the things like now, like when it comes to cooking every night and planning meals, that was the struggle. How can I make it sustainable? How can I make it to where I open up the freezer, the fridge? Now it's so easy. I've got 10 dozen eggs in the fridge most of the time. I'm coming down to like, I think I have 6 dozen eggs in the fridge right now. But eggs in the fridge, so there's always scrambled eggs. So no matter what, there's always scrambled eggs. A lot of the time I have like a gallon bag of chicken thighs, boneless, skinless. Sometimes I'll cook a bunch of those and we'll eat those throughout the week. Or we have, I'll get 2 rotisserie chickens from Costco and I'll break those down when I get home and put all the meat into a bag. And then we have that. We can make chicken and eggs, or we have steaks, and I can make steaks quick. I keep frozen broccoli in the fridge or the freezer. Sometimes we just want broccoli, and I've got frozen burger patties just in case I want those, or I keep Oscar Mayer hot dogs in the fridge just because I want those. Chandra likes cheese balls. I get these cheese balls in those containers, and she likes the little cherry tomatoes. She likes to eat those together with some salad dressing. How do we do what we need to do and maintain consistency? That's part of the puzzle we have to solve. So, and I think that's a good place to stop today. I want to say thank you to you guys for being here with me on a Monday morning, a holiday, Memorial Day. Thank you for hanging out with me, keeping me company. Thank you to everybody who subscribed, comes in comments, who is a member. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. It truly does mean the world to me. And as I said, it doesn't go unnoticed when you guys reach out to me on a personal level and tell me what this means to you, because that's truly what keeps me going, is knowing that you are getting something out of this, and that I'm coming on here and sharing my experiences, and then you feel validated because you've had the same experiences. We lived basically the same life and we've overcome those obstacles, and we're learning day by day how to do better, be better, feel better. And I truly, truly feel for each and every one of you, and I'm glad you're in my life. And I hope to see as many of you as I can at Keto Palooza this year, maybe sometime over the summer. I'm looking forward to going up and seeing Chris's wife perform up at Sweetwater, maybe getting together with them for lunch, something fun like that. I know that there'll probably be a lot of busyness going on with that. So at least seeing her perform. I got to find out the date again and look it up, and I will post that date. If you are in the Indiana area, this is northern Indiana, up towards Michigan area, but not quite Michigan. But just one of those things. I will share that the best I can in my community tab for anybody who is interested. But with that, I want to say I love you guys. Again, you keep me grounded, you keep me humble, and you keep me doing this, more importantly. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And with that, I want you to have a wonderful rest of your Memorial Day. Hold your family tight, love them, spend time with them. And we'll see you tomorrow night, Tuesday night, with me and Chandra. Later, everybody.